God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 65 of Your Journey Is Not Over. My name is Tanya Pearson Randolph. This is my own personal journey, and the expressions and opinions are of my own. I own all the rights to my personal journey and to Your Journey Is Not Over. Neither are to be used, copied, or edited in any way without my consent. Now getting back to January 13th, 2020. I lost my cool just by hearing my uncle's voice on that cell phone, still not knowing who all was behind this undercover, illegal cremation that had taken place of my mother. But by the co-owner, the president at that time, mind you, well, his cell phone conversation, the part that I was privy to anyway, definitely gave me a clue before I even seen the paperwork. The secretary came out and told my daughter and I to sit in a waiting area to wait for the general manager. So we sat down. My body barely hit the seat in that waiting area, and every single light in that mortuary flickered. It not only flickered, but you could hear the buzz of the electricity. It scared my daughter so much so that she said, "Mom, what's that?" I told her, "That's my mother. She's been waiting for me. She knows I'm here now." The second I got those words out of my mouth, the lights went back to normal. I could feel her energy. I knew she was there, and she was just as angry as I was. I later found out by visiting the hospital, the nursing home, and her assisted living apartment. Yes, I did my own investigation, and I learned that my mother talked nothing but loving, kind, proud words of me to anyone and everyone around her. And during her last days, had asked these family members to, quote, get her baby for her. She even asked her nurse at the hospital, and I quote, "I'm dying. Why won't they get my daughter, my baby for me?" I didn't know all of this then, but as my mother, she and I are connected energetically, so I was definitely reading her energy right that day. The general manager came to the waiting room and told my daughter and I to follow him. He had a folder in his hand. Before I took a couple of steps, I asked him, had my brother been notified? He told me that they had called him and left him a voicemail. What? So you never spoke to my brother? Well, even though in shock and grieving, my eyes swollen almost closed, I didn't even look like myself. There were no ice packs that was going to help my eyes that day. But still, I'm quick on my feet. It's one of my many gifts from God is what I call that. I told that general manager, I don't know whose number you called, but my brother, he doesn't have his voicemail box set up on his phone. He never has. So I don't even know if my brother knew at this point. Again, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. He is the only other next of kin besides myself, and if he wasn't notified at the mortuary physically and personally to sign to have our mother cremated, then who did? There was no one else legally that could. So we were taken to an office where the general manager proceeded to tell me that they were under the impression that my mother had no kids, even though just seconds before he had told me they had called my brother and left him a voicemail, which never happened, and completely contradicted what he had just said. But okay, my mother was just sent there from a nursing home after she passed away December 26, 2019. My aunt and uncle were the people that came to the mortuary the following day, December 27th, 2019, and filled out the paperwork. They initialed in all the right places, even listing themselves as next of kin. And there were no spouse or child that could or would object to this cremation. I couldn't object to something I wasn't aware of that was even taking place behind my back without my knowledge nor my consent. They both signed under penalty of perjury by the state of Indiana that everything they'd indicated and stated on those forms were correct and true statements. It was all false. So I began my questions. How could this happen? Aren't there protocols, laws that have to be followed in order to cremate a human body? So anyone can just have a body sent to the mortuary and say they are whoever and whatever on the forms and have a body cremated? I even asked if my mom put this in writing. My mother was real precise. If these were her wishes, it would have been in writing somewhere. In her will, her power of attorney forms. Neither were produced nor provided to the mortuary, I asked, and even made a note about that in my many notes. I truly thought it would take something of the sorts in order to get her cremated without my brother or I consenting. So the general manager proceeded to tell me there was no minister, no preacher, and that my aunt and uncle even declined the free obituary that the mortuary post on their website. Of course, they declined that. I was mortified. There was no preacher, no minister. Again, a huge violation of tradition and against the law. I even told the general manager that my aunt knew how to get a hold of me. I called her every year on her birthday, so she definitely had my phone number. I was in shock that my aunt had participated in this. My uncle? I had the first clue when I heard his voice on that cell phone. And no, it wasn't shocking. Nothing is above or below him. The need to be in charge, show me once and for all in the most diabolical way possible, just to hurt me, even if it was, again, against the law. And for these two people, of all people in my family, to play God and not get me when my mother begged for you people to get me, what kind of monsters are you? Greed controlled your better judgment, I'm sure. I was always taught you give someone their dying wishes, especially when they're begging for their child. She did carry me inside her body. We did share an umbilical cord. So by all science, that makes me closer than any sibling. If you think me asking these questions are hard to hear, dearest auntie and dearest uncle, just wait till you get asked these questions by God, when you stand or bow before God. Because rest assured, He's going to ask, and my name will be spoken by God Himself. And I'm sure He has more in-depth questions to ask, all that were involved. God's seen and heard everything, so He knows the malice, the intent, and the greed behind what you all chose to do, even though it was, again, against the law. I may not get justice in the form that I wish, but I have all the faith and trust in God that justice will be served. Maybe not in this lifetime, but in the next. Exposing what you all conspired to do and you thought you had gotten by with. Well, rest assured, with God, you never really get by with anything. Judgment Day does come for each and every one of us. Will you stand or will you bow? Now that's the question. The Bible describes Judgment Day as the moment God will judge all people, living and dead, based on their deeds, with Jesus Christ serving as the judge. God will bring every deed, both good and evil, into judgment, exposing every secret thing and the true intentions of the heart. As I've said before, be patient. Justice does come. Maybe not in the ways or the forms that we would want, but justice does come. God settles the score. All you have to do is have faith in God, believe and trust, because justice will come. My little piece of justice, well, it came pretty quick that day, if only in a very little way. Stay tuned. This concludes my podcast for today. Please join me Thursday, listen in, and always remember, your journey is not over. God bless.
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows.